Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Making It podcast. We're back again, 28 weeks in. Can you believe it? Yes, you can. We are here for another episode and it's been a pretty good week for both of us. Some big things going on. Obviously, Dan, you're back home, but you went back up to your second home this weekend or this week. How's your week been, mate?
Yeah, it's been good. So, start of the week, I was up in Newcastle, moving student houses, and it's always an exciting time. You know, it's almost like season 3 of uni is about to begin in September, and it's exciting to see what's going to happen. You know, some of my friends are on a placement, some are doing a year abroad, some are staying, so it's going to be a bit of a different year, but I'm looking forward to it. And it's just that excitement of like something new. You know, I'm going to be living with some different people, not because I didn't enjoy living with the people last year, but we all just kind of thought some new beginnings would be nice. It's uni, you know, why not mix it about?
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to living with those people. And the house is nice, and I saw my granddad, spent the day with him. And you know what? I'll just throw it in. Something which my granddad said to me, which made me think a little bit, was he was on about worry. And he was saying, you know, if you're worrying about something, ask yourself, is there anything you can do about it? If yes, do it. If not, ask yourself why you're worrying. And that just kind of made me think a little bit. And it's quite nice to hear those sort of pointers when you're spending time with your granddad. Um, but what I wanted to speak to you a bit about with moving houses and stuff is that idea of, you know, it's something new, isn't it? You know, new people, new house, new year. And it's almost like when it was the new year, you know, I'm throwing back to the early episodes of the Making It podcast, and you were telling us about how it's like dangerous thinking when something new's coming around the corner because it stalls us a bit. Oh, I'm just going to wait till I'm in the new house. I'm just going to wait till it's a new year. I'm just going to wait till the next week. And you never actually end up doing it. But before we get into that, Jamie, how's your week been? Because I know you've been on some adventures recently.
Yeah. It's been a pretty crazy week, to be honest. We left from Brisbane Airport to fly to Western Australia on Tuesday. We got here on Friday. We did like 20 something hours of driving all the way through the countryside of Western Australia, which was awesome. Desert, coast, really weird little towns that you don't want to be in for very long. Some really dodgy, like Australian wild toilets, which I'm kind of coming to like now. Just really cool places, man. When we went to a place called Monkey Mia, which was a detour. We thought it only detoured us 40 minutes, but it detoured us 2.5 hours. So it was a 7.5 hour drive on the last day, but we got here. It's good. We're in a place called Exmouth now, and Ningaloo Reef is just 40 minutes from us. But it's awesome. It's on like a little peninsula on the western side of the country. So this country is massive. Like if any of you that want to come over here think, oh, I'm just going to drive somewhere, it's not like that. Just prepare yourself. It's
Is it
mental.
warmer where you are now?
Oh yeah, way warm. Like I actually have a fan on, which I've not had a fan on since I've got here. I've usually been cold with you've seen it, double
Yeah.
duvet. But no, it's warm. I mean, where we are, Perth is the most isolated city in Australia, and we're 13.5 hours flat drive from Perth. Obviously, we did 20 because we detoured. We did loads of other things, but we are in the middle of nowhere. Like there is nothing going on here. There's a little town. That's it. Done. But it's an amazing place. Went snorkeling today, not scuba diving, and snorkeled around the coral reef. Saw some cool fish. Made some new little mates down there. Yeah, had a wicked time to be honest. So it's a new experience.
Awesome, brother. Snorkeling's good fun, man. And I bet in Australia, like you've already told me about the sort of creatures you were seeing, like trumpet fish and blooming
Fish.
barracudas. But what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that sort of dangerous thinking and, you know, waiting on something new to happen before you actually take action?
Well, I've kind of done it here, to be honest. Like I've done it here. I've been like, oh, I can't wait for that football match on Saturday. We need to win it because we want to try and win the league. Or I can't wait for this day that we're on the boat. And I'm thinking to myself now, I'm like, just chill. Like, I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to do snorkeling today because I'm terrified of that sort of thing. It just really doesn't sit well with me.
What did you ask yourself though?
What do I do now? People are swimming. The people I was with are swimming away, and I'm like, I'm not going to make myself look like a melanator and not go with them and like run away. I've just got to do it. And it was mint. It was really, really good. I wouldn't say I'm the most confident swimmer, but I did good today, so I'm happy. But the new feeling that we're talking about is good, but it's dangerous because it's good to have something to look forward to. But it's bad that you're wasting your time only thinking about looking forward to that and not being excited by what you don't know. Because you don't know what's going to happen today for the rest of the day. I'm aware that potentially I'm going to go to a brewery later and have a few beers, or maybe I'll go fishing at the docks till late at night. I don't know. But that's exciting, right? That's super exciting. But obviously, you always want to look to the next big thing because that's what excites you. As humans, we want the next big thing. What's the next awesome thing, And it's probably what fuels people's reason to buy a phone every year or to buy the latest stuff because they always want the next best thing and they're always thinking about it. You don't need to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think people just struggle with taking action sometimes. It's always like, oh, okay, I know what I need to do, but people just don't often get around to doing it. And it's probably because maybe sometimes it's hard work and people just can't be asked and they just stall it and just let it pass. Or, it's something where it's like, it's no fun really. It's just part of their job, or it's just that one task on your to-do list, which is never the fun part of it. But I always find that topic of, people taking action and, people changing their behaviors for the best and changing their habits very interesting because there's a lot of people that are in bad habits, bad ways of things, people who just don't get an awful lot done really, but then always kind of complain about the fact they don't get a lot done when realistically it's, you got to point the finger at yourself really. But that's something with my sort of journey in sports psychology, which I really want to start to understand a lot more. That idea of just how can you change people's behavior or give them certain strategies to really give them a kick in their step when it comes to taking action. Because realistically, with everything, it's taking action. Obviously, we were speaking last week when we had that podcast about Anthony Bourdain, about when you've got a fear about something, just taking action and just going. Sometimes that's just the best way to go about it. Not even thinking about it, but just doing it. And that kind of applies to when I was talking about worrying just early in the podcast. And my granddad was talking about, for him, worrying was probably the biggest thing which he thinks people. I think he says something about worrying being like the biggest killer. Just how much it consumes people, and stress is a massive thing, and obviously it's not an easy thing to deal with, and we all have stresses in life. But there are ways to tackle worry, and it's just understanding why you worry or why you're scared, and sort of tackling that and finding ways that have helped before and then using them, or maybe doing a bit of research on what can help. But something else as well I wanted to speak to you about, brother, was taking time away from your making it journey. Me and you, we've spoke about it before. We're very big doers. That's a big thing with us. That's probably why we get quite a lot done, because we like to do things. We're always on the move. But then there's that importance of you need that time to just do nothing. And obviously you've been out in Australia right now. It's a very interesting topic because I know you were a bit worried about that. I remember when you said we had that podcast and I said to you, if you sat in a chair for a year, what would change? And you said nothing. What are your thoughts right now on, the importance of taking time away from your making it journey, but also your time in Australia being a bit more away from that, but being on a new adventure?
Well, it's given me a perspective of what I actually need to worry about in my life. The things that I still worry about that I worried about when I was at home are money, fitness, and sports. Same thing here. Same three things, right? And obviously my family and stuff, the given stuff, I worry about them all the time. But you realize that a lot of the things you worry about are irrational. You don't really need to worry about them. Career-wise, I don't need to worry because I've got friends that are, shout out to Max, a guy called Max Scott, who we used to do Forest podcasts together, and just a normal Forest fan, former head teacher, and now he hosts shows for Talk Sport. You know what I mean? And he's
That's
like
awesome.
late 20s. And you know what I mean? He's just changed his life around because he wanted to. That's the mentality you've got to have. And there's so many people in life who do a job they either don't want to do, or they do a job they do want to do, change their mind, and they just go and do it.
Stop right there. This is Daniel talking here, and I know right now you're enjoying the episode, but I've just got to give a really big shout out to something, and it's Making It Moments. You know, that's where our guests are. That's where the people we bring on to talk about their journeys are. Go and listen to Making It Moments. Go find them on our Spotify and YouTube. Find clips on our socials. Making It Poddy, Making It Moments.
They just go and do that. And I'm in an even more fortunate position because I've not even changed my mind on what I want to do. I'm just taking a year out to explore somewhere different. And I'm still going to do all my media stuff when the football season comes, slightly differently. But I'm going to run a podcast. I'm going to still be football coaching. All these things I'll still do just out here. So in terms of taking a break from your Making It journey, I don't really think you ever do, because your Making It journey isn't just career, it's life, right?
I was thinking that. It kind of ties into everything, yeah.
It ties into everything. So from one part of your Making It journey, can you take a slight break, your career? Yeah, 100%. I think you can, especially at our age. When you're older, maybe not. But in the age bracket we're at, experiences like what I'm experiencing now, and by the way, I'm super fortunate because coming out to WA and doing all this stuff is like, I speak to Aussies here who've lived here all their life and they've never been here. I've been here 5 weeks. Do you know what I mean? So I'm super lucky. But you can take time for yourself, and it's important you take time for yourself. You do things that you want to do, sometimes do things you don't want to do. Just challenge yourself, and it will make you a stronger person when you decide to get back onto your Making It journey in whatever perspective you want to put that into, career or anything. I would say as long as you're using it for the good of yourself, then I don't see the problem with it.
It's interesting because since I've been back home for summer, we've spoke about it, where, coming back from that hustle and bustle in Newcastle and adapting to being at home, I always kind of felt like, I'm not really doing too much when I'm at home. I want to be back in Newcastle. I want to be, getting on with the coaching, sports psychology. It's just very exciting over there with the people I meet and the people I talk to and the things I do on a daily basis. But recently, I was thinking to myself yesterday, I was thinking, what am I doing right now? That I was thinking about my Making It journey, and I was thinking, what am I doing right now with being back at home, which is applying to that journey. With the coaching, I realised I've not been doing a lot at all. I do want to start doing a bit of research into, various coaching approaches and, starting to think about how I want to be next year. But like we say, it's also important to have a bit of time off. I was in the coaching quite heavily, weekly. So it's been quite nice to have a bit of a breather and just to be able to just reflect. That's doing something in its own right. But I've kind of realised I'm actually at quite a bit of peace right now within the past week. It's been quite nice just being at home and, not an awful lot is going on, but I'm enjoying the things like doing a shift at the pub, seeing certain friends who I don't get to see in Newcastle. Those things which I wish I could be doing when I'm in Newcastle, I'm enjoying them now when I'm at home. And I've been thinking an awful lot about embracing the moment you're in right now and taking in the moment. And I feel like right now I'm in quite a good state with that, because previously and a lot of my time in life, I was always kind of anticipating something, worrying about the next thing, that worry again. Like you say, excited about something else that's going to be coming up, rather than just enjoying the now. It's just honestly like we relay back onto it so many times, but it's because it's so important. Like the main thing I've been thinking about is just that idea of like, in years to come, will you look back on these times right now and think, God, they were really good times? Whereas right now, you may be worrying about certain things in those times, and when you're older, you're going to even forget that was a thing. And sometimes what I like to do, and just randomly sometimes, maybe walking through the restaurant in the pub, or I'm just with my mates somewhere, I almost like to look at it through a little historic lens, just for a brief, few seconds. Let's say I'm in the pub working, and you know what? I actually really love working in the pub. I'll shout out the Vic, man. I love working there. But sometimes maybe I'm walking through the restaurant and I'll just put a little historic lens on. I'm thinking like, this moment right now, imagine if this was just a memory and you're looking back on a past moment, how would you have wanted that to go? It's just that idea of just making the most of things and really taking it all in. So in years to come, you think, you know what, I really took that on. And I saw a video yesterday on TikTok about that idea of we only get this life once. And obviously, because, in a massive grand scheme of things in the whole galaxy and everything, our life is small. But then again, we also can live up to 100 years. So that's a long time. So we almost take that for granted. But why not take in every moment as much as possible right now and do those things we really want to do right now? Because we only get one chance. Chase those dreams, chase those goals. Just like last week on the podcast, move, do those things. And I bet you doing it in Australia, man. You're doing it right now. And it's so interesting because I still remember that call when you were like, Dan, I'm going to Australia. I'm doing it. And now you've been seeing amazing things. And talk to us about, just the adventure of Australia, and especially that pink lake. I want to hear a little bit more about that. And the ostriches. He's even getting a bit famous on TikTok as
Oh,
Jamie.
the emus. Yeah, I got nearly 1,000 likes. By the way, I'm not a big TikTok person. Like, I've done a few videos now, and I'm getting myself into the landscape. But I did one of the emus. So we were coming into Monkey Mia, which was the little peninsula we detoured to on the way up to Exmouth, and these two emus were at the security gate. I'm like, it's quite cool. Take a video of this. As I'm taking the video, the emu spots us and it runs, sprints up to the gate and like goosey steps it. If you watch rugby or AFL or any of that, it's like a goosey step is like basically coming up close to someone, like you're gonna take their tackle and not care, and at the last minute kind of changing direction and running. And that's exactly what the emu did. So the emu came right up to the window, and we put the window up, and we're like, "Nah, we're not going to risk this now because this emu's like angry." But I posted a video of it doing a goosey step on TikTok and put a rugby league player as the name of it, and yeah, it got nearly 1,000 likes. So I'm kind of like, rolling in it, obviously, because of that. But, yeah, it was quite funny. But in general, though, the actual exploring this country is mad, because one thing I was kind of thinking was, where I am, it's quite quiet. You can't get anywhere very easily, in New Brighton. And then come out here and I'm like, whoa, like my map of this country is just vastly just increased. There's so much to this place. It is mental, and the things we've seen, the pink lakes that you mentioned, it was a detour idea that I saw it on the map, and we were trying to get to a place called Red Bluff Beach, which is really beautiful, nice sunset. But we didn't make it for sunset in time. We weren't going to. So I suggested, I'm like, why don't we go to the Pink Lake? We've got like an hour, it takes 35 minutes to get there. So we'll just get to sunrise with 20 minutes to spare or whatever. We went there. The lake didn't look that pink. It looked a little bit pink because of the salts that are in it. Took a few pictures. Sunset came. Mate, it was so beautiful. The sky was pink. The water was pink. And it was just beautiful. Yeah, it's one of them things you look at and you go, wow. Like, this is just insane.
How have you been feeling about the sort of things you were thinking about when you were in Brisbane? That sort of idea of like trying to, meet people, and it almost felt like you were in a bit of a smaller zone of Australia. And obviously now you're going out and you've done this holiday. It must have been quite interesting you coming away from Brisbane for a little bit.
Well, I was in New Brighton. I wish I was in Brisbane sometimes, a bit busier.
Oh, I thought you'd been living in Brisbane.
No, I've been in New Brighton. No, New Brighton.
Where have I got that from?
Probably the airport. I reckon. But Brisbane's a wicked little place as well. I do want to go more. But New Brighton, it's been tough because it's like, as I say, it is quite relaxed, which is great. Obviously, I don't drive, which is my fault. But I'm used to living in a city, or like a place you can get to places easy. So I've never really thought about it. I thought, well, I'll save my money instead of driving. I'd recommend you drive if you come out here. Probably one thing I regret, but I can get around. I can get to football. I can get to places if I need to get to them. So it's been tough in that respect, but like now I can see how to get around places and stuff and how people do it here. I understand what I got to do. Not hitchhiking, not doing that. The amount of hitchhikers we saw coming up to WA was crazy. People trying to just leapfrog between towns and stuff. But yeah, just an amazing experience. And coming out here, going somewhere that's even more remote, you appreciate everything you got. because these guys, just to transport the plants that are at the side of this building that we're staying in, cost them like £9,000 from Perth
Plumbing,
just to transport it. They don't have any soil like we do. They have to import the soil from another city or another place, and all the people are just happy. Amazon orders take 2 weeks, so people don't feel the need to buy things on demand. There's no gig economy here. It's just what's here is here. People are happy with it. They go and they surf. They go to the one pub on a Sunday, like we are later, and they just chill and embrace it. Or they go and cook on the barbecue. That's it. Like,
mate. I always find that so interesting when it comes to traveling, just how different the lifestyle is in different places. I think in Nottingham or Newcastle, city lives. For me, it's different because I've got my student life and I've got my home life. Both very different, a lot less busy here. Still busy, but not quite to the same extent. There's not much of a rush, not much of a hustle and bustle of uni. And I know that students and my friends that go to uni will come home and it is a much slower life compared to uni. Everything's kicking off at uni most days. A lot of the time, people are just going out, to be honest, and at home, it's not quite the same. But I always remember my granddad. Obviously he's retired for the past 20 years now, but he lives in a place called Warkworth, a small little village just by Newcastle. And obviously, sometimes I'll take the trip to see him. And he says to me he likes living there due to the slow lifestyle. Like things aren't rushed around there. People take their time. Like you say, it's just the local village pub that you're happy to go to. And don't get me wrong, sometimes he says he wants to go on a holiday and get away from that, just like we all do. But I always just find it interesting how you could be in New York right now and it's absolutely rammed, or London and it's rammed, or you can go to where you are right now and they're shipping soil for them and plants for £9,000, and like resources are a lot more scarce, and it is just the local pub, and it is just that idea, and maybe that could help people with worry and stress, and when they're a bit in their heads a bit, it's just like, well, somewhere else right now, someone's just having that 5 p.m. beer, just in the local village, and it's all okay. It almost just feels like sometimes we get caught up in things need to happen right now, otherwise the world's going to end. But realistically, it's all okay. It's all just that balance, isn't it? It's all fluid. I feel like life's
yeah.
very fluid.
And circumstances do dictate. So, people out here, things are more expensive. So, I paid for a pack of sausages, some milk, a couple of drinks, like a couple of cans of Coke, and some ice cream, paid £16. I thought that was kind of mental. I thought that was pretty expensive.
That's actually not too far from Tesco, I can't lie.
Is it not too far from Tesco? I mean, maybe to be fair, maybe it's not that bad actually. But things are in general more expensive here. But the way that people look on life is amazing. But this little town, I didn't know this. I've been trying to find out all the little bits of information about the town, because when we came in, huge satellite discs, and old military buildings. I'm like, what's this all about? Well, this whole town is owned by the US military. All the land is owned by the US military. It was gifted to them by the Australian government. And on the borders of the town are these huge 350-foot tall communications towers that just go like a big line of them all across the boundary of the town. And there's huge antenna everywhere. Well, 10, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was, because of the American presence here. Now, the military don't live there actively now, but they still have operations here. They used to drive on the right side of the road. To buy things here, you used to have to use US dollars. They had a baseball ground. Everything was American here.
Like a mini America.
This was literally a mini America. But this is now one of the most important communications military bases in the world, where we are right now. But to us, it's a holiday resort in Western Australia, which is kind of mental. But I've never been somewhere this remote. And when I looked at it on the map, I was like, oh, I've only gone from one side of the country to the other. But when I put the mileage over where we are in Nottingham to somewhere else, it's like going from, one tip of Europe to the other. That's how far. Just
Really?
on plane. That's how big Australia is. Australia is the size of Europe.
Seriously?
Seriously. legit.
Oh, man, I didn't know that.
If you put Australia on its side, with the most westernly point being Lisbon in Portugal, the most easternly point being Moscow, I'm pretty sure that Australia is either the same size or bigger.
Oh, man, heck. That's
So
mental. You're like in a new world, aren't you?
it's a new world. But the thing is, you can take away what you want to take away. You could either take away, this is a nice sunny place, I'm going to enjoy the next 10 days, and it's great. And that is cool. Or you can take away, what is this trying to teach you? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is this? Even though we can't all have a simpler life and things are simpler here because the opportunities are less, it teaches you that in times where you're going to worry about stuff, just relax. Like, it's the things that we worry about at home, don't really need to worry about. Oh, my Amazon parcel's a day late. I mean, really, does it matter that much? Like, does it really matter that much? It
Yeah.
kind of teaches you about the scale of things you should worry about, you know?
Yeah, and it's just like what's important in life. And I think something that was shocking news to everyone this week was, the death of Diego Jota. I
Oh
just want to
God,
pay
yeah.
tribute to that. Rest in peace, Diego Jota. Not acting like I know him or anything, but when you hear news like that, it's just so shocking because you can't believe it's real. Such a young footballer. It's really sad. So rest in peace, Diego Jota. But it's even things like that where it just realize what is important in life. It's just a fact
What?
we're
Yeah,
living it.
yeah. And 5 days before that, he was getting married,
Yeah,
and 3 weeks before that, he was winning the Nations League. 4 or 5 weeks before that, he was winning the Premier League. All these amazing things, and it just stops, you know. And people think that because there's people that are kind of people we idolize, footballers, celebrities, rightfully or wrongfully. I would say that Diogo Jota, I'm not just saying it because he's passed now, but he's someone you would want to idolize. Great player, humble person, a good family man. I don't think there's anything wrong with idolizing that kind of person. Um, Unfortunately, the reality of what we will all face, which is death, is horrible, and it can happen any time. So it teaches you to enjoy, like we always say, the things you have. Enjoy the very small moments. Take nothing for granted. Um, and even though his life was, cut short very tragically, I would, imagine that from what we can grasp of who he was as a person, that he didn't take things for granted and that he was very grateful for what he had, and that he's lived a very fulfilling life, albeit short. So if you have the opportunity to live, longer than 28, the very young age that he's now passed away, you know, make every moment count. Make every moment count, and that's what matters. It can happen to anyone. Freak accident, freak accident, and the sad part as well is that had it not been for a lung injury, way before, he wouldn't have needed an operation in the UK, and circumstances wouldn't have been the same. So it's brutal. It is really, really brutal. But I think, yeah, as you say, there's really important things to take away from something like that. But what's really been nice to see, I would say, positively wise, is that how many people have come together. Obviously, there's always been a historic thing in Liverpool about the two clubs being quite united in tragedy. And also his former teammates, staff, coaches, family, just football in general has come together, and put on a real show of unity and love towards his family. So I love stuff like that. I think that's the good side of humanity that we need a little bit more of. Showing support in times like that.
I think it relates to what we spoke about towards the end of last week's podcast as well. Just if you do get that random urge to reach out to someone,
Do
or
it.
you want to ask how someone's been, like, honestly, just do it. It's always worth the message. I think Judy, who we all know is a regular of the podcast, shout out
Yes.
Judy for another time. But she was saying to me that she one time just randomly thought of her nephew, reached out to her nephew, and he was actually in a bit of a life crisis. So she actually didn't know that at all, and then could help him out. You never know what people are going through. That's always going to be the case. So it's so important just to reach out to people whenever you think about them. On a more brighter note, today of the recording of this podcast, which is Sunday, obviously it's Tuesday for those listening, I'm doing a frothy 5 run.
Tell us what that is, please.
So it just sounded a little bit sus. I'm doing the frothy 5, but it's a 5-kilometer run where you consume 5 drinks while doing it. It starts at the pub.
Can you manage that?
What's that?
Can you manage that?
Well, you get the option of doing 5 pints or 5 half pints. So
Don't half pints, Dan.
me and Jago have done a 5 half pints of beer. So it's not
Oh,
even lager either, it's beer. Mate, if I did 5 pints within half an hour, I'd be struggling anyway, let alone while doing a 5K. So me and Jago thought, you know what, we'll do half pints, see how it goes. If we manage to do half pints, all right. Next year we'll do the full one. But I think we're gonna turn it into a little bit of a video. So
I'll do the full 5 pints for you next year if you want.
Yeah. We'll all do it.
Yeah, let's do it, mate. Let's do it.
But
I bet
I'll be
Jago
doing that, so I'm looking forward to it. What's that?
You could do the full 5 pints, Jago could.
Yeah, but he just can't do the running. That's the problem. That's what we'll find out. But I've recently I've recently reignited my old YouTube channel, so I think we're doing a video for that. So if you want to go find that, it's just type in Dan Ferguson. But yeah, it's been another good episode. I've rebranded it now. It's just Dan Ferguson now. Like, DJ Free will always be there, but I had to rebrand it, man. It was something I was thinking about, but sometimes you got to do it.
Oh man, well, I can only pray that we get to recover some of those videos.
I think we are thinking potentially of doing another football one just for the sake of it.
Oh, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. Yeah. Oh, I'm waiting for this. If you want to wait for that as well, then follow Dan on his stuff. Dan Ferguson _SP on Instagram. Follow that, mate. That's what you need to do. And
follow Jay's away.
If you can. Obviously, now I'm a TikTok sensation in that. If you do want to talk to me, emails only. Other than that, you can book an appointment. So, all of this because of an emu. Love these
brother,
animals.
man. It's been another great episode, man. I really enjoyed it as always, and we talk the topics we end up just talking about. You know, I always enjoy it, man. It's a privilege.
Loved it, mate. Loved it. And have a fantastic week. Take nothing for granted. And do something fun. And get on the question of the week as well. Do you prefer winter or summer? Tell us.
Just before we end, what do you prefer?
Oh, I'm going to go summer. I prefer being warm.
Yeah. Oh, it's tough because I do like winter, but I do much prefer summer.
Winters in Newcastle are cool, man.
Yeah. I do like them both, but if I had to pick one that I could only have forever, I'd pick summer. So
cool. All right. Summer or winter, let us know. Making It Podcast episode 28. See you next Tuesday at 10 in the morning. See you in a bit.
Take care, everyone.